Welcome to section 2.6, Integer Data Types. C++ has a number of integer data types. They can hold whole numbers, positive, negative, and 0, such as 5, 10, 23, 89, and so on. Integer data types cannot hold numbers that have a decimal point in them. Integers embedded into Java source code are called integer literals. Here we see an example, and we've seen this before as well, of an integer variable being declared. It's called x, and it's of data type int, and here we're going to store the value 12 to it. 12 is an integer literal, and x is of the data type int. There are other integer data types than int. In the table below, we can see that there's an integer data type called shortint that's used for storing a smaller range of values than int. Short ints take up 2 bytes of memory. This allows for short ints to store a smaller range of integers than int. In fact, the range of integers for a short int is from negative 32,768 to positive 32,767. The next integer data type is an unsigned short int, which also takes up 2 bytes of memory, but that unsigned keyword means that we can't store negative values to a variable of this data type. So the range of possible values just goes from 0 up to 65,535. The numbers start becoming pretty hard to say after this point, so an int takes up 4 bytes of memory, and the range of possible values for an int is from about negative 2.1 billion to positive 2.1 billion. You can also declare a variable of an unsigned int data type. That takes up 4 bytes of memory and can't represent negative numbers, so it just goes from 0 to about 4.2 billion. A long int actually, that long doesn't actually modify anything. If you just have a long int, that still is going to occupy 4 bytes of memory and therefore give us the same range of values to represent. But a long int takes up 8 bytes of memory, and so you could see this would be particularly useful for scientific programming. Everything from negative 9 times 10 to the 18th roughly to positive 9 times 10 to the 18th. And an unsigned long int takes up 8 bytes of memory but doesn't represent negative values. So the range of possible values for an unsigned long int is from 0 all the way up to roughly 1.8 times 10 to the 19th.